Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Investing and Trading Live. Once again, as always, I am your host, Josh Lillicos. Today, we had a monster move in the markets today. We're going to take a peek at the overall stock market for today. As we know, we had a nice little drop in the markets, and when I say a little drop, that's anywhere from 1% to 2%, depending on what you look at. S&P 500 1.68. Dow Jones about 1%, and the NASDAQ, the Q, is about 2.68%. So we're going to do a quick market update for today. We'll look at some cryptos. HNT is looking pretty good. Not so much today, but overall in the last week or so, looking pretty decent. So let's get into it. As we know, there is risk in trading and investing. You can and will lose money at one point in your life. This is strictly for entertainment purposes only. Mainly mine, but hopefully you find it entertaining as well. All right, let's start with the old S&P 500. All right, you got your S&Ps here. So SPY is what we're going to look at. Currently, market is closed. It's 3:39 p.m. in the Central Time Zone, and market closed at 540.36, about 1.68% to the downside. So a big drop on the S&P 500 today, closing right at the lows for the day, and post-market showing a continuation to the downside. Now, that being said, we're coming off the highs, right at the highs. We talked about that a couple days ago with the S&P 500. Dow Jones Industrial Average, the DIA, the ETF for that, down 0.98% on the day, also closing near the lows, I should say, of the day. Post-market fluctuations continue that to the downside as futures are still open. We do have a gap to fill here from right where the market is at on the post-market, 403.14, all the way down to $496. So the Dow Jones not looking so hot either. The NASDAQ, which is the Qs, down 2.68% of the day, 448.69. Same story, down right at close, right at the lows of the day. Post-market conditions look to continue that to the downside as well. Looking to take that down to 423.70. So the market doesn't look that good for those people that are long the market. A sloppy demand zone on the close, but the market already has gone lower from the futures market. Although, that being said, we have now created a beautiful supply zone on a 4-hour chart and a daily chart from the 458.95 up to the 465.51. So I'm going to mark that out on both charts here because I do like that. So if we get a little bit more of a continuation here coming on Monday on this drop, look for some opportunities that the market makes a retracement to the upside, getting those bulls back in the game and then trapping them as we get into that 460 to 465 mark, 466 mark. So that being said, beautiful supply zone looking good there as we have started. So ideally what you would want here, and this could happen, it may not happen, but continuation of a downtrend and getting below the lows of the 433 mark, and then retracing back to the 460 for a shorting opportunity at that point. That's your Qs, your NASDAQ. I'm going to go look at the Dow Jones. Dow Jones doesn't really show that, and the S&P 500 has I wouldn't call it a very good one, and that being said, it's there on a daily chart, not so much on the... You kind of have a level upon a level in the NASDAQ, so we can definitely mark that whole thing on the S&P 500 charts. So looking pretty good there. I like that. Okay, going back to the IWM, down 1.9% on the day, 207.90. And not any real supply zone formations there showing, so that one there is really doing something different than the other major markets anyway. So that's that. So there's your major market updates. Some other ETFs showing some downward pressure is your metals and mining down 2.18% of the day. That's XME. Silver is down 2.86% on the day, down to 25.48. That's the ETF. We'll look at the spot market here in a second. And GLD also down in the day, 0.74% of the day at 230.63. those markets are closed on the ETF side of it. Volatility also increasing. Not so much on the volatility side with this big drop, but we'll see what happens on Monday. Let's get into your spot market on gold. $2,496 per troy ounce, and silver $27.92. So those markets respectively down 3.1% on silver and 0.79% as we speak. Market still is open on the gold side of it. So, which is kind of different because you would think, and if I was a thinking man, I'd be, I don't know what I would be, but if you would think that the gold market would be going up as a safe haven. That being said, I bet the yen is probably going up. So dollar yen, let's just look at that for a second, is probably doing exactly what we expected, going down because it's the dollar versus the yen, because the yen is getting stronger. So looking good for the dollar yen for those people shorting the market. Let's look at cryptos first before we get into the spot market. Bitcoin down almost 5%, 4.9 to be exact, 53,596. Market still is open, but we are at the end of the week, work week for some people. Ethereum, $2,210, down 6.7%. And HNT, as I mentioned earlier, reaching a high from, back in March, currently at $8.07. So looking pretty good for those HNT holders. I do like that myself. And going into the US dollar, still in your bullish bias, but in that zone where you have some buying opportunities. But if we break below the $100 mark, look for that to be in no man's land. Who knows where that's going to go? So that's going to be the driver of a lot of this, I believe. Going into your short bias of the Aussie dollar, this one here gets, actually is in our trading opportunity here. Coming short out of that. Long the New Zealand yen. Let's go back to the New Zealand dollar 1 second. The Aussie dollar. Yes, we are currently at a shorting opportunity, potential opportunity. This is not a recommendation. It's my idea, we'll call it, on the Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar with a bullish bias in a buy-in opportunity in the zone right now as we speak as well. And the Aussie yen currently not in a opportunity right now. All right, get into some stocks. And NVIDIA down 4.09%, closing the day at 102.83. Turtle Beach down 4.58%. Tesla down 8.5%, 8.45% to be exact. So not looking good for those major markets, major stocks, we'll call it, that everybody talks about. PayPal down 4.3%, Google down 4.08%, Carvana 5.48% to the downside. UPS was actually up on the day. DocuSign was up almost 4% on the day. That being said, interesting. DocuSign, it's interesting. It shows it was up on the day, but it was actually... Oh, yeah, you're right. It was up major on the day. Has a red candle because it gapped to the upside right away. Let's see. Rounding out your stocks before we close out the show with your market update. Disney down 0.8%. Coinbase down 7%. 7.73 to be exact. Continuing that downward trajectory. I do like a potential opportunity a little bit lower there as a potential opportunity to get back in. And then, let's see. Chipotle. People must be eating burritos today, up 1.23%. American Airlines was even on the day, so American Airlines edged out a 0% loss gain on the day. GoDaddy was down almost 2%. So market does not look good for those long holders. And we are creating supply, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, in the S&P 500, and especially the Qs, the NASDAQ, looking beautiful there. If we get a little more continuation out of that, that's an opportunity for shorting opportunity. I would personally do options on it since it's $448 per share on the ETF. So look for those opportunities over the next week, 2 weeks here if we get a continuation to the downside. And we'll see more opportunities, as always, every single day with the volatility increasing because of what we have coming up here in the next few months here. So that's your market update for the day. Today is the 6th of September. As we know, September is typically the worst month of the year for stocks, so make sure to protect your positions and be ready for that. That's not saying it's going to happen, but that is a probability, and that's what trading and investing is. It's all about odds and probabilities. As always, collect your profits when they're given to you and protect your losses, keeping them small, or protect your... Let's start that over. As always, collect your profits when they're given to you and protect your losses, keeping them small. Until next time, retire young, my friends.